The first season of Blood of My Blood ended almost 1 month ago, but I still can't stop thinking about what might happen in season 2. In my previous video, I focused on Julia, Henry, and William's time travel, so if you're curious, you can watch that after this video. In this video, I'll talk more about the story surrounding Jamie and Ellen, the Jacobite Rising, and a surprising possibility in the time travel storyline. Buckle up, because Blood of My Blood Season 2 might be the most surprising season we've seen in the Outlander universe. Let's start with Brian and Ellen. As you know, Brian and Ellen finally reunited in the season finale. Unfortunately, just as they came together, we learned that the 1715 Jacobite Rising had begun. That means, just like Claire and Jamie, the wars that prevent Brian and Ellen from being at peace together are starting. The sad part is, Brian decided to join the Jacobite Rising without a second thought. So, what could happen in this rising? Let's talk about that. First of all, these wars might have a positive side too. As you know, Brian and Ellen are currently living as fugitives. When Brian returns for the war, he'll face the Mackenzies, with whose sister he escaped, his father Simon Fraser, whom he turned his back on, and the Grants, whose lords he killed. If you ask what could happen in such a tense environment, honestly, I think we can expect some surprising alliances. From the books in Outlander, we know that Murtaugh said Dougal and Brian fought together in these Jacobite Risings. That's why I think in Blood of My Blood, this distant pair will fight side by side, both against the English and the Grants. Because the Lord of the Grants right now is Malcolm's uncle. Since joining the show, he has been pushing Malcolm to take revenge. I'm sure that once he's in charge, he'll try to get that revenge himself. If you wonder who can stop Malcolm's revenge-driven uncle, I think it will be Malcolm's sister Maura, who made a great entrance to the show last season and surprised everyone by marrying Dougal. Maura is currently a bridge between the Mackenzies and the Grants. Honestly, I think as long as her marriage to Dougal lasts, she'll fall in love with Dougal. That's why she'll try her best to convince her uncle not to start a war between these two houses. She might even use the Jacobite Rising as an excuse and say their priority should be the English. Another person I think will help reduce this tension is, of course, our soft-hearted hero, Murtaugh. You know that Murtaugh gets along well with both Colum and Dougal. That's why I think Murtaugh will do Brian a favor once again and help establish peace with the Mackenzies. Also, I'm sure Murtaugh will play a big role in talks with the Grants. Alright, now let's talk about what Simon Fraser will do. At the season finale, Simon learned that Julia betrayed him, but he still believes the child is his. So, if Julia and William can't time travel and Archbug captures them and hands them over to Simon as promised, we might see Simon being more ruthless than ever. You might ask if there's really a chance they can't time travel, and the answer is yes. Because all the gemstones are on Henry's watch, and the gemstone on Julia's ring fell off during the first time travel. So it's quite likely that Julia and William won't make it through the stones and will fall into Archbug and Simon's hands. If you wonder who can help them until Henry comes back to rescue Julia and William, of course it will be Brian and Ellen. And here I have an incredible theory to share with you. You know that Brian and Ellen's first child was also named William. Now I'm thinking, if Simon imprisons Julia and wants to raise William himself, Julia might ask Brian to take William and look after him at least until she gets free. And maybe Julia will never get free or will have to leave to find Henry, so William might stay as Brian and Ellen's child until he dies at age 11. At this point, I also think Brian's mother, Davina Porter, will play an important role in saving William and maybe Julia as well. If you ask if William is the only child Brian and Ellen will look after, I think there's another surprise waiting for us. You know, Blood of My Blood has changed many things we knew so far, like adding William, Claire's brother, whom we didn't even know existed, to the show. At this point, I think there will be another change to hype up season 2, and we will see baby Jamie too. He will probably be born while Brian is at war, and Ellen will raise both him and the adopted William with great difficulty. Honestly, this theory seems quite likely to me. Remember how excited we were when we saw child Claire at the season 1 finale? I'm sure we'll be just as excited when we see baby Jamie. I was going to talk about the release date, but my admiration for Murtaugh got in the way. So I want to talk about our sweet Murtaugh again. You know that in the first season, when he got closer to Jocasta, Murtaugh acted cold toward her because he was in love with Ellen. But now that the Ellen chapter is closing for him and Jocasta is still head over heels for Murtaugh, I feel there might be something between these two. So, would you like Murtaugh to have a happy love life in the end? Let's meet in the comments. Alright, now we can talk about the release date. And get ready because I can tell you there are some good developments. As of November 2025, filming of Season 2 is almost finished and only the post-production process remains. Once that's done, rumors say we might watch the show as early as late 2026 or early 2027, considering that we'll also be watching Outlander Season 8 on March 6, 2026. Honestly, I'm quite happy with this schedule. Now it's your turn. What do you think will happen in Blood of My Blood Season 2? Which of these theories did you like the most? Let's meet in the comments. Meanwhile, if you want to learn about the possible outcomes of the time travel in the Blood of My Blood season finale, check out this video.